I love this meditation. It's a simple meditation, but I love it so much because I think forgiveness almost seems impossible for us at times, and yet people often say, oh, I have to forgive myself first. And what does the Course say? Forgive those who are the most challenging to you, because then you finally put yourself into a place where you can forgive yourself. You know, we can't get there if we have, you know, what do they say, a log in our own eye. You know, so there's a lot of people out there who've been poking a lot of logs in our eyes. So, I mean, we have to kind of move past some of those judgments we have about others, so we put ourselves into a place of doing that. And I loved Hugh Prather's, if you have his flip calendar, today was so great. It says, today I will remember that God knows the way to my heart and that God never fails. The shepherd returns all lambs to the fold. The father welcomes home even the prodigal son. I will not be arrogant and think I am the one problem beyond God's capacity, that I am the one person who can thwart God's will. And I love that. I'm not the one person that is beyond help. You know, that help is there for us always. And I just thought that was such a good lesson, because that's what this is about. Because I think sometimes we go, same person keeps coming up. That same issue keeps coming up with a different face on it. Something keeps coming up in our minds. And this lesson is great. It says, God is the love in which I forgive. It says, God does not forgive because He's never condemned. And that is such, most of us probably who sit here go, yeah, right, got it. This is, I'm sorry, lesson 46. Does everybody have a copy? Do you need a copy? Okay, you got one. And this is important because this particular lesson, very simple, highlights to us that in many cases if we're not reading the text or reading the manual for teachers or are not doing our own personal study, some of these simple little lines will escape us. When it says God does not forgive because He's never condemned, that's a huge line. That's a huge statement about the Course's, if you will, theology. Its thought system, because it's telling us that God does not see any of the mistakes we make. So when it says He's never forgiven you because He's never condemned you, this pulls us into a way of thinking that is in some ways beyond us. That's as the Course would say, kind of like not that it says this, but it appears that there's a level 1 way of thinking and a level 2 way of thinking. The level 1 way of thinking is the reality of God, the reality of us that is beyond our ego form. The reality of God is that we have never done anything wrong, that we cannot lose our salvation, we cannot lose our place in the mind of God. The level 2 thinking is we thought something happened, and now we're trying to get back to that level 1 awareness. So when you see a line like this, it says, God does not forgive because He's never condemned, does not make God remote in our minds. It makes God even closer to me in our minds, because it's saying that He did not see any of the things that you thought that you have done that are evil and sinful and hateful and judgmental. He's seen none of that. He only sees the truth about you. He holds that truth about you. So this doesn't make God distant from us and our problems. It makes the salvation of our awareness in Him, the truth about the love that we are, the truth about who we are as His holy children and whom He's well pleased, a potential for us to remember. Because He doesn't see any of the mistakes we've made. He sees us just as we might see a loved one sleeping in bed having a nightmare. He can't see what the nightmare is or the happy dream that we may be going through. He just knows that we're asleep to our reality. And He wants us to know that we are loved and that He is there waiting for us when we finally wake up. That's kind of what, and you might say, well, I don't understand the dream. It's the closest thing we can get to understanding that our truth has never been changed in any way by the dreams we've had, whether they've been nightmares or even happy dreams. The reality of us is inviolate, is what it's saying. That's what it says. God does not forgive because He's never condemned. He only sees the truth in us.